My friend Bill Simmons, who won't return my calls.
What?
He won't return my calls.
That means he likes you.
No, it doesn't mean he likes me.
Why
You know,
not?
I talked to Michael Rappaport about this weekend. Is that Bill's a talented guy, but and I think he's going into a funk, and I'm like, here's my theory on this whole thing. I'm just going to say it right now. You know how hard it is to make TV work?
Yeah.
It is so damn hard. There is no shame in rolling the dice. Something doesn't quite work. Who cares?
Yeah. Oh, you think that's why he won't call you back?
You know, I think he's in a kind of a little funk, and I'm like, Bill, you're a smart, interesting guy. Who gives a rip about critics?
I will get him to call you. That's one of his, you talked about his amazing talents. That's his greatest talent, not calling people back. So there you go.
Okay, Cousin Sal is here. So first of all, let's present what you're giving to people. This is kind of an amazing thing, right?
Yeah, this is pretty stupid. We have a $25,000 bracket challenge on SI.com and FoxSports.com. And that's for the winningest bracket, for the perfect bracket. If you are able to pick all 63 games, you win a house, you win my house.
Is that a picture of it?
Let me see. Yes, that's it.
Is that your
Why
house?
are you giving away your own house?
Beautiful.
I don't know.
It's
I really
beautiful.
don't know.
It looks like it's right on the Palisades on the cliff.
I got to tell you, I think it's in your neighborhood. Can you tell where you live?
Manhattan Beach.
Yeah, that's why I'm right around the corner from you.
Do you have another house to live in once you lose this one?
I really don't. I was going to buy like a house in Saginaw for like 30 grand just to say, yeah, that's the house I'm giving away, but I had a signed paper
So
saying
that's a Manhattan Beach house?
Yes.
Holy God, what are you doing?
Your property value will go up as soon as I'm ousted, I'm sure.
All right, Cousin Sal, Jimmy Kimmel. How's Jimmy doing?
Jimmy's doing great.
One of the all-time great guys.
Thank you.
You know,
yes,
he
says hi.
Can you know what? Can I just say this?
Yeah.
And I'm going to say something highly controversial.
Okay.
Is that Stephen Colbert first of all, it's a very competitive landscape.
Mm-hmm.
I got nothing against Fallon. Right. But I'm not into this whole, hey, I sing. Hey, every day we sing with. And I find that nothing against Fallon, but it was too pithy for me. And it's nothing against this James Corden, but you can sing in a car. What's your second pitch?
Right.
That I'm a Kimmel guy, and I like Colbert because I think there's depth there.
Right.
And so I'm just going to say this right now, is nothing against Jimmy Fallon. Okay. But NBC now is pressuring him to talk politics. Have you heard that?
I imagine so, yeah.
Because
they see what Colbert's ratings have done, and yeah, they want to.
And by the way,
up.
my favorite times of Letterman and Jimmy Kimmel are when they address really poignant stories, because I think Jimmy's really smart.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll pass it along. I mean, it's impossible to avoid the political landscape.
You have to.
Right now.
It's a serious time. We got North Korea has got nukes, and
what? I didn't even know that.
Oh,
see,
the whole world's imploding.
Everyone's
so
gotta
people
know.
they want guys like Kimmel to talk about that stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, here we go. NCAA Tournament. Now, are you very good at this?
I'm okay at it. I'm offering up my. Let me just say, in terms of offering up my house, the odds are 1 in 9 quintillion that you pick a fully perfect bracket. But if you're going to win, you're going to win against me because I have suffered some of the worst beats in the last 12 months. There's a segment on another network that we both work for that covers bad beats.
Yeah.
But they just report on it. I actually feel it. I had, in the last calendar year, I had Golden State, 73-win team, up 3-1 to close out Cleveland. That didn't happen. Hillary Clinton to beat Donald Trump. You discussed it. Pretty sure that didn't happen. I don't know if you believe the fake news or not. That is not a winner. The Atlanta Falcons plus 3.5. Not even just +3, +3.5. So if it goes to overtime with all this other nonsense, I'm a winner. But no, that loses 25.
Do you bet a lot?
I do bet a lot.
Does Simmons bet a lot?
He does, not as much as me, but yeah.
Like, what do you say you bet a lot? What do you bet? 10 grand, 5, 9, 6?
I'm putting up my house. That's a lot. Yeah.
That is a lot of money.
Are you married?
I am. For now, I'm married with 3 kids. The wife, it's funny, I made the mistake of explaining this contest to my wife on the way to Valentine's Day dinner. So, and she teared up a little bit.
So when you, I got to ask you, when I got this theory on Calipari.
Okay.
And you're a big sports fan.
Sure.
I've known you casually through Simmons and Kimmel, but I've known of your work, and you pop on podcast. You're a very popular guy.
Right.
So here's my theory on Calipari, and just sniff it out and tell me if it's crap. Mm-hmm. So right before the tournament last year, he came on the show and he said, it's not about winning titles. It's about shaping lives.
Nice.
Yesterday, he comes out and says, I don't like the way they're doing the seeding. So my theory is that Calipari's got 1 title in 8 years. And let's say he goes 3 or 4 more years and doesn't win the title. Mm-hmm. Calipari will feel like Calipanzi if 12 years at Kentucky. Saban next door is dominating college football.
Right.
Krzyzewski, your rival's got 5, and this year favored to have 6 titles. That in the last 2 years, Calipari, right before the tournament in March, has sort of softened the blow before the tournament. I think he feels heat. Now, it sounds ridiculous.
Really?
Dude, he's been there 8 years. It's a basketball factory. He gets all the players through World Wide Wes, that legendary basketball guy. He got one title in 8 years. You don't think he feels a little heat?
I think maybe he does. But I also think you shouldn't be talking about this. He's an Italian-American comrade of mine, and, you could show up thumbless one day to work. It may not be good.
I actually like him. Do you know him?
I don't know him too well. But what was his beef? He doesn't think he was going to get a 1 seed, did he?
No, I think what he's saying is, I think it's very hard to win when all your players are 18.
Right.
And this is where I defend Calipari. Saban gets his guys for 3 or 4 years. Even if they leave for the pros early, they're 21.
Yeah.
Calipari gets his guys for a semester.
Right.
And he has to create chemistry. They don't have senior night at Kentucky. They just eliminated it. He has to essentially create chemistry every year.
Yeah.
And I think it's very difficult.
No, I'm with you. I don't know how you recruit guys who will promise to stay 2 and 3 years. You just can't do it. So he's kind of in a bind.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Oswego State. It's upstate New York, about 30 miles from Syracuse.
So are you a big fan of the underdog in this tournament?
I am in this tournament because it means a lot of brackets will be eliminated, and I could probably hold on to my house if the underdogs come through.
So you kind of, because I went to a small school, but I'm not a fan of small schools.
Right.
I tend to like the big favorites. Will you, like for instance, when you fill out a bracket, and you've done one of these, did you generally do very well within your social circle?
Yeah. What? How?
With the bracket?
Yeah, I do. Yes.
I mean, you're known as a bettor.
Right. Yeah.
You're a gambler.
I think you know where to pick your spots. Everyone, there's enough info on it now. The 5-12, there's upsets, the 7-10, and all that. But mostly get 1s and 2s and 3s going to the great 8. And I think that's the way to do it. Now, that said, what 1 seed you see getting knocked off?
Well, I think here's the problem. I don't love any of these teams. Well, for instance, I really like Kansas, but they play too many close games.
Right.
Same with Villanova. And I think Villanova got every break last year. It was just that's nothing against them. It was just a magical year. I like Kentucky's length and athleticism, but they have one pure shooter, and I don't think they're great defensively. Right. I actually think if I was picking, I would say Arizona and Duke. I think Duke they have length, they have a great coach, they have an NBA player, and they've got like 4 or 5. They have the best tripper in college basketball, but they have a multitude of players. Like, I don't hate Duke.
Right.
How do they fall for you?
I don't either. I like Duke a lot. I bet a lot. I bet them a lot through college. Christian Leitner made some clutch free throws, would cover like a 6.5 point spread. I remember in the heyday when they beat UNLV and all that.
Yeah.
That was big. Now, I don't think they should be favored to win this tournament. They're an 8-loss team. They're 6-1 favorite to win this thing. I go North Carolina. I think they're being overlooked. As far as a 1 seed could be overlooked, I think they'll be ready for the title.
Let me, Cousin Sal's joining us. Give the offer one more time to our audience. One more time.
Yes. Cousin Sal, I'm betting my house, and you can go on Cousin Sal Bets the House or SI.com. You make a bracket, you make a perfect bracket, you get my house in Manhattan Beach.
Is it furnished?
It is furnished, yeah. Only it doesn't matter. I mean, I have no room for this stuff anyway. You can keep everything.
Or you win $25,000 if you simply have the best bracket.
And we live in the same neighborhood. I have a great blacksmith I have to introduce you to. Do you have...
What does a blacksmith do?
Oh, it's right next to the cobbler. It's just, it's right in town. We'll talk after. We don't have to talk now.
Yeah, I've never, like if I said to you, do you, like my favorite college basketball team of all time, I like the way Duke runs their business.
Yeah.
And then, like all the others, the Carolina, the Kansas, I honestly, there's the weird mechanism with me. I like when people are uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah. I got that too.
I love New England dominating football and pissing everybody off. I love LeBron winning. There is something I want Duke to win. It's nothing against everybody else. But I have, like, everybody's got a thing. That's my dark side.
Right.
I like making people uncomfortable. I love that people hate Duke and they win. Do you have a sports psychology? Like, what is your theory on gambling?
I think this dated back to when I was a child and I rooted for Roddy Piper, who was the worst bad guy and going as a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
I'd wear a kilt to Madison Square Garden. So sections of people would boo me. And I know what you mean about liking the teams and the people that people hate, So, yeah, Duke and Bobby Hurley, that was my favorite team, I think, back in the 90s. I loved it. What was to hate about it, except that everyone hated him?
I was in Las Vegas, and I covered those teams. And I liked UNLV. I wanted Tark to win.
Right.
But I remember going to the Final Four in No. It was first UNLV beat Duke in Denver. They beat Georgia Tech and then Duke for the championship, the Ala Abdunabi team. And then the next year, UNLV was the big favorite and lost. And they got beat by Duke. And I wore a Duke shirt about 3 months later at a gym in Las Vegas just working out. I got it for like $1.
Right.
And people were visceral. They were angry at me. And I'm like, how do I hate Duke?
Yeah.
Like they graduate most of their players. I mean, Grayson Allen's a little bit of a weirdo.
Sure.
But I find, like, Tony Romo.
Yeah.
America hates Tony Romo.
Do they hate him? They hate the Cowboys. Yeah.
I love Romo. You know him.
Well, I'm friendly with him, yes. And it's crazy to hate Tony Romo. He's as good a guy as any. He is the most cursed athlete out there. Look at him. Look at him. Is there a picture? Oh, I'm just seeing that picture. I don't know.
Didn't you vacation with him?
I did. We went away this summer, and yeah, it's funny. My son plays flag football, and I want him to convert. I want him to put the pads on and hit. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to have Tony Romo explain to my old lady that it's good. It's fine. I have Tony Romo, and I'm like, here we go, Tony. Tell her it's okay. He's like, nah, you don't need to do it till high school. I was like, that's it. I'm done.
I got a buddy, Eric. Eric Tannenbaum's son plays football, and his wife, Kim, is like, I don't want him to play football.
Right.
So he takes me to dinner one night, and we're hanging out, and he asked me, and I knew I was killing him, but I'm like, I would strongly recommend that kids don't play football until they're like 15. And Eric's like, no, and I'm like, I'm sorry. Your son looks like Brady, but I wouldn't play him. What's Romo like to hang with?
He's great. He's the best guy. He's so much fun. I don't know. It's going to be cliche, but he's super fun, and he's so smart too. And I was telling one of your producers backstage, like, yeah, he'd have a great career in broadcast. Like, he would be a great offensive or defensive coach. You get the quarterback's perspective of what defenses quarterbacks hate to see, and I would love to see the other side of that. Why couldn't he be a defensive backfield coach or something? But he really could do anything he wants. I hope he keeps playing. I think he still has it in him, and I think he can make a difference in the AFC, specifically on the Houston Texans.
I'm really happy Jimmy Kimmel's doing well. You know, that whole, I thought he did a great job I think the Oscars is very hard. You're talking to the most elitist, stuffiest people who, you can't criticize anybody in movies.
Right.
Like, I can rip Tony Romo. He the next day would come and high-five me.
Sure.
Like, sports people, we get ripped by everybody. Actors, if you criticize a movie, you're on the death list.
And especially if you're a TV guy coming into their area.
Was he getting nervous for that?
No, he was pretty good. He was pretty he was confident in the material. And you know what? The truth is, even though he is a TV guy, he's had almost or all of these people on and would at least say hi to them at the party. So he felt good about the camaraderie. But, you still never know. Yeah, it's usually a very stuffy atmosphere. Oh. And worse than that is you have a room full of people who potentially could win. And then as the night goes on, it's like, it's a bunch of losers in the room, It's like 4 to 5 people in each category lose. So they maybe not as excited to hear your jokes about Donald Trump or whatever,
The candy was such a good idea.
The candy, yeah.
No, he
loves feeding the audience. He loves it. I thought the best would be to drop raisinets on those bozos as they try to figure out that last award, just as it was going on. Maybe
FoxSports.com/bracket. FoxSports.com/bracket. Cousin Sal, good seeing you. Say hi to Jimmy for us.
Thank you. I sure will.
And tell Bill to call me.
I will. I can't guarantee that.
He won't.